Hey, it's Drip and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the basic anatomy of synths and the things that you should be aware of when you're crafting your sounds. I'm going to be using Vital because it's really visual, it's free, and it's probably the most commonly used synth for EDM music outside of Serum and Massive, but you should be able to apply this knowledge to just about any synth. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing that you're going to want to know about a synth is you're going to want to know where the oscillators are because the oscillators produce the sounds that you're going to be making, right? So in Vital specifically, and in Serum and in Massive, they are wavetable synths, which means it basically takes a sample and it allows you to move through the sample, and the sample is called a wavetable. Here, let me grab a wavetable. Okay, so here's a wavetable called Clicky Robot. Now, if I adjust the wavetable position through this, you can hear how the sample is being played back. Now, if I had that sample, it would just play the sample. It would be really short, right? But with a wavetable synth, you can choose to just use a section of that sample as your sound, like this. You can use the beginning of the sound, you can use the middle of the sample, and you can also modulate the wavetable position to go through the sample and make it change in time. Like that, right? So yeah, that's the first thing that you're going to want to know is where are the oscillators in the synth that you're working with. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to be aware of in any synth that you're working in is where the ADSR is. And ADSR stands for attack, decay, sustain, and release. And this shapes the basic movement of the sound before any effects or filters or anything, right? So attack adjusts how long the sound takes to reach max volume. And then once it's at max volume, the decay knob adjusts how long the sound lasts. And the sustain adjusts how much the volume will drop as it decays. And then the release adjusts how long it will take to go to negative infinity volume after you've released the note. You see? So I released the note and it didn't stop immediately. It released a little bit. You see what I mean? So your ADSR is going to adjust the volume envelope of your sound. The next thing that you're going to want to be aware of is where your filters are. So here are the filters in Vital. Just a heads up, all of the filters in Vital morph into different shapes. You just adjust which one you want. So this is your filter section, and every synth is going to have a filter section. And this is where it is in Vital. The next section you're going to want to be aware of is the LFO section. So Vital has 4 LFOs that you can choose from, and they are just right here, and you can adjust the LFO to whatever you want it to be, and then you can grab the LFO and you can make it adjust any parameter in the synth based on the shape that you give it, right? So I just put it on the level of oscillator 1, and now whenever I hit a note, it's going to adjust the volume of oscillator 1 by the shape of the LFO. And you can put that on anything. Here it is on the cutoff frequency. Okay, and I'm not sure how common it is for macros to be on synths. I know in Serum and Vital and Massive, they have macros, and macros are basically just like the LFOs. You can attach them to any parameter, but instead of it going based on tempo like an LFO does, it just goes based on whenever you move this knob, it adjusts the parameter. And that way you can add the macro control to a bunch of parameters, and then you can adjust the macro and it adjusts all of the parameters at once. Like that. And then you can automate this parameter, and you've got 4 different macros that you can choose from to attach to 4 different things, or as many parameters as you want, essentially. Okay, the next thing you want to be aware of is the effects. Almost every synth is going to have an effects section, and I just want to go over the basic idea of what each effect is supposed to do, just to give you an idea of how you should use the effects. So you've got distortion and compression, and those basically are just fatteners. They make your sound fat and loud, right? So if I crank up this distortion and then put it through some compression, it just makes the sound fatter. And chorus, phaser, and flanger all add width to a sound. So if you want your sound to be wider, add one of these, or different amounts of all of these. So this is what a chorus sounds like. You see how wide that got? And here's flanger. And this is a phaser. They all add width. And you've got your delay and your reverb. Delays and reverbs give your sound space. So if you want to make it sound like it's in some kind of a room or a hall or something, these are really good. It sounds like it's in a hall, right? And another really cool effect you can get out of delay is you can make it tonal. So if you take it off tempo-based delay and you just make it super short, the amount of delays playing back to back very quickly actually produces a sort of pitch. So you can adjust the seconds right here and you can get a tone out of the delay, which can add a texture to your sound. Like that, right? And then you can make that stereo. And that can also add width to your sound. Next, you've got your filters and your EQ, and that adjusts basically the tone of the sound. And this filter is the exact same filter that's over here in the filter section. So that just gives you a third option for another filter. And then this is just an EQ that you can just shape the sound. You can cut the high frequencies, you can cut the lows, boost, whatever you want. And it just shapes the tone of the sound. Okay, and finally we've got the matrix, and I don't actually have anything assigned right now, but if I assign macro 1 to the level of oscillator 1, let's say, then that would show up here in the matrix, and you can adjust the amount. You can also make it change something else if you like. You get a whole list of everything you can modulate and everything that you can modulate a parameter by, so they've got envelope, LFOs, all the macros and everything. The matrix just gives you a more in-depth look at everything that you're controlling, all of the parameters and what parameters are controlling what. All right, that's it. I just want to note that all synths have a different interface. So there is going to be a learning curve in the beginning, but now that you know the basic parts that make up any synth, you should have more confidence in knowing how to get the same job accomplished in whichever one you choose to use. If there's anything you'd like to add, please let me know in the comments and I'll get right back to you. And if there's anything that you'd like me to cover in a future video, please let me know in the comments as well. Until the next video, stay busy producing and I'll see you soon. Peace.